Hey, y'all, welcome back to the Late Night Vision Show, episode number 33. I am Jason, owner of Outdoor Legacy, and I've got, as always, my co-host Hans from the Hans East Texas YouTube channel. Hey, Hans.
Hey, Jason, the always busy Jason right now. Busy time of year. Man, every time I give you a call, you've got 2 seconds to talk and then you're on to the next 15 calls. But
Well,
it is,
it's busy. I'm going to tell you something.
yeah,
It is, as we've always said, we record this show late at night, and I don't even know what time it is now, after 9 o'clock, and I have not left the office. I'm still
yeah,
here. I've been here all day, and I finished calling customers back after 6 o'clock tonight and realized that I'd basically been nonstop on the phone for 9 hours solid today. Didn't even
yeah.
stop. I was talking to customers, eating lunch. They probably heard me smacking, but I was trying to be quiet. But
That's
it's that
awesome.
time of year, and
Yeah.
it's a good time and it's fun. And I tell you what, if you call, you might even talk to Hans because it's gotten so bad. I'm like, here, please call this guy back. Call this. I can't. Here, call somebody. Answer this phone. So
Yeah.
you
I
know.
enjoy it. I enjoy it. But hey, thank y'all for joining us this week on the show. We've got some big news on the show that we're going to be talking about and breaking. But while you're checking it out, whether it's on the podcast through a podcast sharing service or if it's through YouTube, please go ahead to subscribe to us. So if you're on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the Late Night Vision Show. While you're doing that, jump on over to Hans ETX, subscribe there, and also on Outdoor Legacy Gear on YouTube. On Instagram, do the same thing. Hop over and subscribe to the Late Night Vision Show, Hans ETX, and Outdoor Legacy Gear. And on Facebook, you can, find Outdoor Legacy Gear and the Late Night Vision Show. I am not on Facebook because I can only handle one thing at a time. And right now it's just IG, Instagram. I love taking pictures. I love photography, and it kind of works out better for me. And a lot of people are on that now. So I leave all the Facebook stuff over to Jason.
Well, let
Let
me
him
just tell you
handle all that kind
something.
of stuff.
I'm on all three, and I can't handle one of them.
Oh,
Right.
it is tough, man.
It
It's
is.
tough.
There's too much going on, and I know that somebody told me, "Hey, I sent you a message on Instagram. I was trying to buy a scope from you," and I was like, "I
Yeah.
haven't been on Instagram in 48 hours. I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna try to." So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Other than that, I like to get onto some of the forums and give a
yep.
shout out to the Texas Hunting Forum. I
hmm
know that you're on the Texas Bow Hunter Forum.
Texas
You're
Bow
on there.
Hunter, Texas Hunting
Yep.
Forum. Yeah, those are both.
Yep.
And I know there's Texan forums, but I'm gonna tell you something. There's a lot of great information
Oh yeah.
over there, and people hear Texas bow hunter and like, well, I'm not a bow hunter, man. There's a ton of stuff over
Yeah.
there that's totally unrelated to bow hunting, just hunting in general. But
Yep.
well,
So those are
Hans,
a couple
tell
of
them
yeah.
about. I'm excited. I can't wait. Let's jump into this. Tell them what we're going to talk about.
Well, what we're talking about today is, and you may have seen it on some social media, but we're here to clear up and really introduce the brand new Pulsar uh, Thermions. I'm going to mess it up. I'm
I
just
was
going to say right
waiting
now, I'm
on
going to
you.
mess it.
That's
I
disappointing.
know.
You said
I've
it
even gotten it
pretty
written down,
good.
but I said it pretty good. The Pulsar Thermion. So that is a new line of scopes that's coming out, thermal scopes that's coming out from Pulsar that was just announced this past week. We've got pictures of it. We've got some information. So what we want to do today is we want to kind of clear up any speculation about the new Thermion. We want to find out what we know and based on facts of information that was released to the media and to the press. So we want to find out what we know, and we want to find out what we don't know. We want to kind of clear that up, any speculation that we have that's kind of, because Jason, right now it seems like there's a lot of kind of information and misinformation going out there on the internet, and you just kind of want to put some of that stuff to rest.
Yeah, there is a lot of misinformation. And this is what happens when manufacturers come out and they give a sneak peek and they do, just kind of a little snippets of information trying to tease people out. And I understand why they're doing it. They're trying to build some excitement before SHOT Show, and it is exciting and it's great news. But what happens is now we've got basically about 45 days of the internet churn of
Yeah.
the keyboard commando experts and speculation. And you know how it is. It's like the game you played when you were a kid where, you whisper in somebody's ear, a word, and then it has to go all the way, or a sentence, and it gets all the way back around. It's something totally different. That's what's already happened in just these last few days. This morning, I woke up. I had a notification from Facebook. just about some random thermal groups that I'm a member of. I don't really get on there a whole lot, but it just like a random notification. I clicked on it. It was about the Thermion. There were comments, and it was a disaster of people saying, no, I just talked to Pulsar. This is what they're saying. Well, I've got a buddy that's got inside information, and it was, I can tell you, it was mostly wrong. So, or if it wasn't wrong, it was wild speculation that was being stated as fact. So what we want to do is we just want to go over what we know, what we're allowed to say right now. I mean, what has been put out there, and really all that is known for absolute fact is what was on their press release. And so we've really kind of dissected that, and we just want to go over those things. So I'm going to jump right in and talk about, I think the biggest thing that we know, and that is kind of the talk, is the different design. So right now, thermal scopes are generally, shaped like some sort of
like a brick,
brick, a digital object. And so exactly that's how the pulsars have been, Trijicons, flares. And so, I know the ATNs for this year have a different look, but these are definitely shaped and look just like a traditional rifle scope. And one thing that I noticed is that it looks, I mean, from just a picture, you could back up and it looks like a rifle scope.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks just like it.
Exactly. And so we're going to, if you're watching on YouTube, we're flashing the picture up. If you haven't seen it, if you're listening on the podcast, hop over to YouTube so you can see a new picture of the Thermion. But Jason, when I saw that picture come out, that was the first thing that, how are they able to do this? Because like you said, all the thermal units from all the manufacturers have a very kind of similar style, like a rectangle,
It is a brick. I think the brick was a brick.
And so, the new Thermion looks, like you said, like a traditional rifle scope. And it really, if you put one side by side from a daytime regular, rifle mounted scope next to the Thermion, it'd be hard to tell the difference.
Yeah, I agree. And, again, even like I mentioned that there, even though the new ATN Thors that are out this year, they do have a traditional rifle scope look, but they're not exactly. They've still got a big box in the middle, just like the X sights do, that where all, I guess you'd say that, brains are, the computer is. Same thing like the sight mark photons and the digital scopes. They've got the all the electronics and the sensor and all's up on the front end, and so it's enlarged. And this doesn't look that way. I mean, it looks like a traditional rifle scope. So I can't wait to see exactly how they did all this and pulled it off. But it does looks really cool. So, we're gonna talk about these real quick, and I'm sure we're gonna come back around to the end and kind of hash all this back out again. But another thing that we do know, and this is kind of interesting, is that there are still going to be XQs and XPs. And for those who are familiar with the Pulsar line currently, XQ and XP, XP means high resolution, 640 by 480. XQ means standard resolution, which is 384 by 288. But there is a change, and they're showing here that the XQs are going to be 320 by 240. And here's the big news: have a 12 micron thermal core. Right now, we're at 17 microns in all the Pulsars. So that's going to be a slightly smaller resolution, but it's going to be lower microns for hopefully a clearer, sharper image, which I think is going to be good. Now the XP. I just want to say, go ahead.
Let me ask you. Yeah, let me ask you real quick.
Sure.
How do you think that that's going to compare to the XQs right now with the resolution, the little bit higher resolution and higher microns versus what's coming out on the Thermion? How do you think the picture is going to compare?
That's a good question. I mean, I would
without
like
seeing
to
it.
think,
I'm asking you to judge something on something you haven't seen.
Yeah, exactly. I would say this. The only thing we really have to compare it to is the FLIR, the new FLIR bosons, and they're 320 by 256 at 12 microns. But here's the problem, and they look really good. But the problem is on the low end, we've got the PTS 233. It's got a tiny little 19 millimeter objective lens that is a fixed focus. So that doesn't do that thermal core justice. Then we go all the way up and we've got it on the 4-power 50 millimeter lens on the PTS 536. Well, that, and then we go on up to the 736, which is 6-power, 75 millimeter objective. Well, anytime you get that size of an objective lens with that much magnification, it's going to look really good. So I don't know what this is going to look like. I mean, as it says, it's not going to look worse. We know that. Is it going to be better? I would say yes. Is it going to be drastically? I'm just not sure until we really get them out there and see. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I say, you and I have said on this show multiple times that we believe that the Boson 536 and 736, that core, that image quality looks better than, again, like say the Pulsars at 17 microns and a few more pixels. But again, it's high magnification, large objective lenses. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're going to have to see. And we don't know what the objective lens sizes are going to be on the Pulsars. We have no clue. So yeah, we're guessing. But now the 640, the XP is still showing to be a 640 by 480 at 17 microns. And my understanding of that is that, the Ulyss, who makes the thermal cores for the Pulsars, they don't have a 12 micron 640 by 480 up and running. At least, I shouldn't say maybe they don't have one up and running. At least they don't have one market ready in this size that they need. That's my understanding, is it's not ready. So speculation, will they have a 12 micron 640? I think eventually, we know that's coming. Now, when that comes, who knows? It may be another year, another model. I'm not going to wildly speculate there, but I think we do know, obviously, they've proven here they can do it in the 320, and they've got to be long-term working towards that for the 640 as well.
Right, exactly.
So moving along, something that, I don't know, I'm not overly excited about, but I think a lot of people are. A lot of people, they're putting color palettes into the scopes. Right now, Pulsar only has color palettes in their handheld thermals. I'm not sure exactly why that's been. That's the way they've always done it, is the multiple color palettes there, but not in the rifle scopes. It's just been black hot, white hot. Their color palettes, while again, I don't use them even in the handhelds. I don't use them with FLIRs, but some people like them. I don't think
people love color palettes. They call up and they just, they love it.
To each their own, and that's fine.
To each their own. We don't hunt with them very much, but man,
but the ones that Pulsar has, I think, are a little more tame. They do have one that's a red, and it kind of makes the animal glow a little bit, but generally. There's like a sepia and I don't know.
Nothing too crazy.
I don't remember if there's a green. I know there's a red, and I think there's one goofy. There is one goofy like a rainbow or something. But so there's gonna be some color palettes. So if you're into that, I had a guy that yesterday I talked to on the phone, and he's like, I want to know when we're going to get color palettes. I need color palettes. And so I said, hey, guess what? There's some coming. So we've got color palettes. And then the other thing they've mentioned is it's going to be a full metal housing. So the body of that traditional scope look is going to be all metal. So, a lot of people are big on that. I have guys that call and say, I don't want plastic. I don't want plastic. I'll be honest, a lot of things I'd rather have, a good, ABS type plastic than I would metal. So I don't know if this is a pro or a con. I'm sure they've made it, sturdy, or they wouldn't have done it. But they're bragging on it. So I guess it's going to be something good as a full metal housing. And then the other thing that we do know is it is going to still have stream vision. We can see that there's like a picture of the app on the press release. So stream vision isn't going to go anywhere, which means you still will be able to connect it to your device, like your smartphone or your tablet, via their stream vision app. So that's the basics of what we know. There's, again, from that press release, that sneak peek, we just don't really know anything else for sure.
We don't know a lot, but and so I think some of the speculation that's going around right now kind of is centered around what we don't know, and
Right.
that's kind of what I want to touch on a little bit, and just
Mm-hmm.
kind of run down a list of what we don't know right now. So if you're hearing something we mentioned on this list, and you're hearing it from somebody else, um, it's probably it's not being released by Pulsar. So just keep that in mind when you're hearing some of this stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
first thing we don't know, and everybody wants to know, what's the price? How much are these units going to cost?
Well,
Um,
I can tell you this. I spoke with Pulsar again today. They do not have the price. If anybody tells you they have the price, they don't have the price. I trust my source there who says we will have the price in our hand Monday, the day before SHOT Show. SHOT Show starts on Tuesday in January, third week. And he said we will have the price the day before. We don't have them. Not going to be finalized. And it's like literally we're ordering these things, making pre-orders with no retail pricing. We don't know. So if you hear a price on it, it ain't true.
Yeah.
I mean, it may be true, but it'd be guessing. I mean, it's just
Right.
would be luck of the draw of what the pricing is going to be. We have no idea if they're going to be the same, more, less.
Yeah, and that's the $1 million question. I mean,
Mhm.
everybody wants to know how much the cost is going to come, because everybody, I think the perception is that the longer that something is around, technology improves and cost comes down,
Mhm.
and so I think a lot of people expect it to be more advanced in technology and cheaper, which in a lot of cases that's not always
That's right.
what happens. So if you're hearing prices float around right now, nobody knows at
Well,
this
hey,
point. So
we can speculate like anybody else. What do you think it's going to do, Hans? You think it's going to? You think across the board prices are going to be stagnant? Kind of just stay the same, or do you think that they're going to come out and everything's going to be lower? We're going to say this. I think we can both
yeah,
say we don't expect the prices to go up across the board. So, do you
right.
think they're going to stay relatively the same, or they're going to go down?
I think they're going to be pretty comparable to what they are right now. Honestly, I do.
I do too.
I think they're going to stay pretty much the same. I think they're kind of in a little price niche right now,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they kind of want to kind of stay in that cut a little bit. So
I agree.
that's my guess.
That's my guess. I agree
Yeah.
with you. There might be, some less expensive models. Like, well, I mean, right now we don't have the Apexes. They're gone. They
Right.
started at $2,500. They had a $2,800 model. They've had the XQ30 trail that is I don't know if it's discontinued. As far as I know,
Yeah.
it is. I mean, they haven't shipped that thing in forever.
Right.
That was a $2,800 model. That, and by the way, I probably should have never mentioned it. People go, the XQ30 trail. You don't want it. It's got a fixed focus. The image quality was not great, so we never really sold.
Yeah.
Then they go up to the XP50 at $5,000. I won't be surprised if we see something, down there in that. I don't know. I'm speculating here. $2,500 to $2,800 range, hopefully, and then I hope, and then I won't be surprised if we see something that comes out that's more expensive than the XP50. Maybe there's another model. I mean, I don't know.
Here's the thing. I don't think Pulsar minds being a little bit more expensive than FLIR or anything. I don't think they mind that at all. And here's the reason why. I think Pulsar is selling their product on the value of what you get, and the fact that they include so many extras that a lot of other scopes aren't including, like a Stream Vision app, like internal video recording with audio. Those.
Don't
Yeah.
forget. I mean, customer service is not free.
Yeah, exactly.
Customer service is not free. And we've said it on this show. I had a guy ask me today, he bought a Pulsar Trail and a Helion from me. He was a fan of the show. And he said, do you work for Pulsar?
Well, and see, I think Pulsar, they're, like I said, I don't think they mind that their scopes cost a little bit more.
I don't know that they cost more, though. I mean, I don't know if that's fair. I mean, do you think they cost more? As compared to what?
I think
I'm put you on the spot.
I don't think that. Yeah, I don't. I think they're thought. Their trail models are thought of to be, a little bit more than some of the other. With FLIR, Now I know Fleer has their lower base model, but the 536 and the 736.
I think what
You
you're
know,
trying to say, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think what you're trying to say is true. Is that they're not trying to be bottom of the barrel, cheapest on
right,
everything, just to get
right,
business that way. They're willing to
exactly,
say, you know what, we're going to keep our prices at a reasonable
exactly,
point, and for that price, we're going to give a lot of value, a lot of customer service, and so again. I mean, again, I'm not at Pulsar setting the prices here, but I
yeah,
have to believe that is part of their thought process. Being the cheapest
yeah,
is not always the best, because a lot of times the cheapest means that you had to cut a corner somewhere, and so
yeah. That's
yeah,
exactly right. They're going to say we're not going to be the cheapest scope that you can find. We're going to have the best value,
yeah.
and
It's
that
well,
meaning
it's
we're
like
going to
what I say
provide.
too. When people
Yeah,
say, "Well, I found this scope and I can find somebody that's going to break the manufacturer's price, and they, I can sell it, $200 cheaper," and I'm like, sure, but I understand that customer service has a cost too. I mean, call them,
hmm,
when you have problems, and you know what I mean. I mean, we
yeah,
all want to save money, but at the same time, it that customer service cost, and I think
exactly,
Pulsar knows that, and Pulsar has built a name for themselves as, if you have a problem, we're going to take care of you. We're going to warranty this scope. It's they're not going to give you the runaround. And so
yeah,
anyway, I think that has a price, and I think they're going to keep the price up there. But go on
yeah.
down the list. What else you got?
Well, the second thing we don't know right now are is what are the magnification bases going to be? What are they going to go up to? We just don't know what the magnifications of any of these units right now, and that's I think I'm not going to say it's a concern, but it's a big question that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
floating out there because there's some people that want more magnification. There's some people that want it to stay the same. They prefer lower magnification. So it's kind of going to be interesting to see where it ends up at.
What do you want?
Oh, to me, the lower magnification, the better, especially in that XP50. I really like the 1.6 level. If it's going to raise it, I would not like it to raise any more than 2 power, but
Okay.
I'd prefer it to stay exactly where it
Yeah,
is.
I agree. Okay, here's my thoughts on it. I would love to see a I mean, boy, you talk about now. I am just purely getting my wish list of what I'd like. I would like to see the lower magnification on like the XQs. I think having a 1.6, 1.5 is fine. I'd like to see a 2.5. I'd like to see a 3. And I don't really know that I mean, a 4. I know Fleer's got the 4. I think that's personally plenty for that, but I think a 3 to 3.2 somewhere in there would be fine. On the XPs, I definitely want to see the XP50 stay at that 1.6, 1.5 power, somewhere in there. I do agree, no more than 2. I mean, I don't, I really want it to stay below 2, but I would really love to see 2 more models, maybe again, a 2.5 power, and maybe even a 3.5 power. I mean, I don't know, I'm just talking out loud here.
Yeah,
At least a 2.5 to 3 power above
right,
the XP50. Again, not for me. I don't need it. I wouldn't use it, but I think there is a definite market for it for guys who really want the XP50. They want the high resolution, but they don't. They just don't think they can get by with the 1.6 optical magnification, and I completely
right,
understand that. So, and a lot of them can't
right.
get by with that. It's just not enough. So,
Yeah,
and I'm saying these weird numbers right now. Pulsar is at weird numbers. They're at even numbers: 2.2, 2.8, 1.2, 1.6. So, I don't know. I'd like to see them somewhere stay around that, but have something that's a little more. But pure
yeah,
pure wish list. Who knows?
yeah. So the next thing we don't really know about is rechargeable batteries because if you look at the picture of the unit, the rechargeable batteries that the XP50 and the XQs have on them is not going to fit on that new unit. So we don't really know what the battery situation is right now, and that's a big question too. We do know that it's going to be rechargeable, don't we? Have they released that?
We don't even know that, but I will
Okay.
get that we don't, not officially. I
Okay.
would go out on the limb and say that I think it's very unlikely at this point after having the battery packs, the IPS 5 that lasts 6 to 8 hours, the IPS 10 that's a 16 to 20 hour. After having those built onto the trails, I just think it would be extremely unlikely for them to go completely away from that and go back to a CR123A battery. I just don't. Right. I don't see that happening. So I think we're going to have to wait and see what's going on there. It's possible. I don't know what they're going to do with the batteries on that little bitty thing. You know, I mean, well, it's not large, so we'll see, and that's again we'll have to wait.
We'll see on that. We do love our rechargeable batteries, and we hope that they stay. I doubt that they would take a step backwards, but sometimes you never know. And getting down to the next thing that we do not know is the weight. Sometimes you have to sacrifice certain advantages to save and cut weight, and that's one thing we also don't know. What is the weight compared to the traditional XP50 trails that we have right now? Man, it looks like it would be a little bit less weight, doesn't it?
It looks like it to me. And hey, you just said something there, and that is something I think we ought to bring up. You mentioned the XP. We know, I guess for a fact, for whatever it's worth, that there is going to be an XP50 model. We know there's XQs and XPs because that was listed on there and it told us what the resolution was going to be. But in the picture, there is a close-up image and you can clearly read XP50 on the front ring there on the bell of the scope around the objective. So, I mean, again, I guess that could be mocked up and it may not really end up that, but it does say XP50 on there. So we do believe there's going to be an XP50. I just wanted to mention where we got that is on the picture as it's the only model listed, but we do get a look at that.
Right. So I'm glad you mentioned that too, but the weight is something we don't know right now. Like I said, it looks like it would be less weight, and that would be awesome because I tell you what my shoulders, I'm going to have to go to a chiropractor. I've never been, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to go from carrying my rifle around and the scope. It's that 6.5 Creedmoor with that Pulsar on top of it is a heavy load. Either that or I'm just going to need a golf cart to
that, or you're just getting old. But anyway, moving along.
I think all of those factors are in. My beard is starting to get more and more white, and I was at the barber today, and he said, "Hey, does your wife know that Santa Claus is coming home?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Because your white beard." I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
Yeah, it's yeah.
Exactly. I'm catching heck from my barber now.
Yeah.
So the last thing that we do not know is any other additional features that may be included in some technology we don't even know about. Who knows? This thing may be able to control a drone at the same time. We just don't know.
Oh my gosh. Folks, we have absolutely no knowledge of any drone control from God.
I tried to just make up the craziest thing I could think of, but just to explain that we just don't know. I mean, we don't know if there's going to be anything extra at all. We don't know if there's any new features. There could be, there may not be at all, but that's a small question mark that's kind of out there right now. Is if there's going to be anything exciting and new.
I'm going to say this again right now. Pulsar Thermion drone control. All right, no, wait a minute. I just want to say it. Drone control, Pulsar Thermion. All right, great. Now we're just going to wait to see how long in one of these Facebook groups that shows up that somebody says the Thermion is going to control drones. We'll know where that came from. So, yeah.
Hey, it will not. I promise you this, guys and girls, that it will not control a drone.
I'm not making that promise. It could happen.
But it'd be a lot cooler if it did.
It might happen. I'm going to go on the record and say it is possible that the Thermion control a drone.
Man, I think just digging a grave. Now.
I think we need to name this episode 33, Pulsar Thermion drone control. I think that.
If it had a remote where the Thermion actually levitated like a drone off of your rifle and then kind of went out and flew around and then
possible.
Landed right back.
I'm telling you,
it's possible.
We're going to see some of this speculation on these groups.
Pulsar needs to come talk to Hans and Jason. We'll design the next year.
That's right. Oh, we can do it. No problem.
We would design it, and it would cost people $25,000 with all the stuff that we put on.
Exactly right. It would clean my hogs, is what it would do. So it'd drag them off. Well, so with that, folks, I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh, well, you didn't tell us anything we didn't know." Well, that just means that you're up to date and you've been digging through what they put out. And that's super. There's a lot of people who haven't seen that release. don't know anything about it. And there's also a lot of people who have, and again, have all this speculation. And I can go on the record and say this: they are not announcing anything for sure except what was put on there. Are there tidbits of information that Pulsar might have mentioned, in confidentiality to a dealer or someone? Yes, that is possible. It's not going to be on price, I can tell you that. There are some other small things, but even if that dealer, said something that he wasn't supposed to, which I can tell you wouldn't be, they're not going to know much. I mean, I've talked to Pulsar a lot. They're not going to tell you much, and it's nothing exciting that's really going to matter. So we've said all that we can say, and I can tell you that we're not leaving out anything that's exciting. So we know what we know. I do think something else that's the big question I guess we should have talked about: when they're going to be here. When are they going to be available? That's the question that I've already been getting phone calls is, should I wait? And, I know everybody fully expects me as a dealer to say, no, don't wait, buy today. And, that's not my answer. My answer is, it depends on this. Do you want to go hunting today, or do you want to go hunting in 6 months or next fall? If you say, hey, you know what, if I buy a scope today, I'm not going to go hunting until next October, November. Well, then shoot, you might as well just wait and see what it's going to look like and see what happens. Unless you just have some reason that you really want one of the trails. But how long are you willing to wait? And I think that's what it comes down to. We don't know. On that release, it says coming summer of 2019. And from everything I'm hearing, I think that's reasonable. From past experience, I think we can expect and again, past experience does, not necessarily predict the future, but early summer, second quarter. And I think we need to always be prepared for delays in new releases of product, especially new releases that are wildly different. So consider the Pulsar Trail LRF, laser rangefinder models. We've talked a bunch about those on here. Those were announced January of 2018, this year, at the SHOT Show, and they did not they didn't begin actually shipping production units until, 1st of November? Yep. I think that's right. Yeah, it was in November. So 10, 11 months to get those things out. Again, I'm not predicting that with a Thermion. I'm just saying things can happen. That also comes all the way down to whenever there's a new product like this, these things have to be, when they're imported, they have to go through customs. There is all kinds of rigmarole. And I know there are things that happened with the LRFs that were causing some problems trying to get those imported. And sometimes that stuff can get hung up, and it's sitting on a dock somewhere, and customs is saying, oh, I don't know, we need to look into this. And it gets back and forth, and it can turn into a month-long, 2-month-long deal if there's a problem. So again, I'm not trying to say worst case. I'm just being realistic. It's a brand new item that we know is not in full production. We know that even Pulsar is saying summer 2019. So I'm going to take them at their word, and I'm going to say second quarter is would be what I would hope to start seeing these.
So let's kind of real quick talk about first impressions, what we like and what we don't like. And I'll start off, and I'm going to say I like the new look of the Thermions. I think it would be awesome if we could have a great thermal scope with a great image that looks like a traditional rifle scope. So I'm excited about seeing it, looking through it. What I don't like from my first impressions is the idea of having to deal with scope rings.
Why do you take everything away from me that I want to say?
That's why I wanted to go first.
That's why we're not good. That's why we're not good co-hosts, because we think too much alike, and you take everything away. Go ahead. I'm going to try to think of something to say now.
Oh, that was it. No, I don't like the idea of having to deal with scope rings. I think, especially in the business when you're trying to help people that are new and are trying to mount the scopes themselves, there's a greater chance of error when you're having to mount those scope rings on a tubular mount or a tubular scope like that. And I can see kind of the headaches that are coming for you, Jason. I'm not too jealous of. I
dread the entire honestly, folks, I'll just be honest, I hate that idea. I think it looks cool. I think it's nice, but I think that the idea, again, it's not that I think it's not going to work. It's not that I think there's going to be problems.
Well,
Like I
maybe
think I think
maybe
there's
they're going to have it. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off,
yeah,
but maybe
that's
they're going to have it in a way where you can't mess it up. That
you
wouldn't
can
that be
mess it
ideal?
up. You can mess it up. No, I look. I know what they're going to be pushing. They're going to be pushing a single piece mount. There is a picture of that in there. It has a site mark logo on it. I noticed that. I zoomed in real close to look at that. Those mounts are already available. They're brand spanking new. I just ordered some today to actually go ahead and bring those in and start testing those mounts now. And I have some reservations about them, just from the design look, and they're supposed to be to work also on the Photon RTs, and so I'm bringing them in right now just to go ahead and start testing on the Photons. I don't want to get into. I'm not going to sit here and bash them out because I have not even held one. I've just seen a picture of it. But when I got a little better picture, I do have some reservations and some concerns about the design and how it's going to work. But I will test it and let you know. But yes, I have a huge concern about the mounting. If it's in a single piece mount with two scope rings that are mounted again on a single piece mount, there's still margin for error, but it's much less than if there are two separate rings. We deal with this on the Photons all the time, and it is a major issue. It's not that there's anything wrong with the scopes. It's just very easy to mount them incorrectly. And that's, I'm not saying anybody's ignorant. I mean, I have done it myself, and you get out there and you fight it and you don't know what's wrong and you think there's something wrong with the scope, and it ends up you've just got the thing, like one ring. It's maybe you tighten down the front ring first or the back ring, and so now you're shooting high or shooting low, or you've got it just canted in there somewhere and you're shooting to the left. You okay, I guess I should explain since we went down this road. The reason that can cause trouble is you just don't have the range of movement with that digital crosshair that you do a lot of times with an etched reticle on a daytime glass optic. So you can run out of adjustment on your windage or elevation, and you go like, I'm shooting at 50 yards and I'm still 3 inches low. And so I just dread that idea. And that is not a problem that we have generally on scopes with single piece mounts. I mean, I've probably heard that 2 times ever on a thermal scope.
I do like that. The mounts the way they are right now. Now, from what you've seen from the pictures of the new mounts that are coming with the Thermion, is it a quick release, quick detach mount?
It is, and the new mounts that again, these are Sightmark branded mounts that they've made that are supposed to work for these. And for those that don't know, I mean, we've mentioned it before, but Sightmark and Pulsar are basically sister companies in the U.S. The same distributor for the U.S. Cellmark distributes both of those brands. So for practical terms of the consumer, they're sister companies. And so they have designed that mount here. I'm guessing there's going to be some other kind of mount, or I don't know if it's going to be 2-piece. I don't know if the scope's going to come with rings directly from Pulsar. I'm not really sure there, but I have seen it, and it is a quick detach. But they also have it in the same, looks like the same mount, but in a non-quick detach. Mm-hmm. And to the credit of Sightmark, looking at this from the way that it looks, rather than putting caps on the top of the scope, it looks like they go from the side. So I want to get it in my hands and look at it. If that's true, that hopefully be better. Maybe there won't be all the normal elevation problems, but maybe more windage problems. I don't know. We're wildly speculating, but that is a concern of mine. I guess if there's one thing I don't like, it is the idea of using traditional scope rings. Now, for a lot of guys, that's going to be really big. They're going to love that. I have guys all the time that hate the fact they can't use traditional rings. They're not familiar with these single piece, quick detach ring, or not rings, but mounts that like that everybody has, FLIR, Trijicon, Pulsar. So they like the idea. The big question for me is going to be, is it going to have an eye relief that will work for you to mount this on a bolt action rifle with regular rings without a Picatinny rail, because currently you couldn't do that if you wanted to. Even like the photons, if you try to mount them up there with regular rings, it's so far forward that you can't get up there on it most of the time. So it needs to be pushed back, and that's why even on bolt guns we say you need a Picatinny rail for like the photon that uses rings.
Yeah. Some
So
of these guys are mounting thermals on, these 30-30 lever actions and these bolt guns. If those, depending on how wide and separated those rings are, that may not be
I know.
as easy anymore.
Yeah, I think it's something we're going to speculate. And one thing I did see, I saw a Pulsar employee say this on one of the forums, so I can repeat it because he said it publicly.
Yeah.
Somebody said there's no rubber eye cup on the eyepiece, and it's going to put light back on you. And he said the unit will ship with a rubber eye cup. So I mean, again, that wasn't on the press release, but he said it will have an eye cup. So whatever that's worth. I mean, obviously I would think it'd be removable again, but for the people that want those, I know like you and I normally do. So that was good news I saw.
I'm a fan of the eye cup.
I am too.
I like it.
So I guess you've said it. I mean, the good and the bad. I don't think there's any ugly. I don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill out of these rings. I think it's fine. I really, it's not a usability issue. I am thinking about it from the customer service standpoint of just if and the big if people have problems. I just think about the number of phone calls that it generates of where you walk people through it, and that's fine. I mean, that's again, we go back to its customer service, and I don't mind doing it, but it does, if you think about it, if you're getting 10 of these phone calls a day, it adds up and it's a lot of time. So hopefully it won't be that way, but I think I am excited, about the idea that we're going to a 12 micron core in the XQs. I'm excited about the prospect of seeing if eventually we go to a 12 micron 640. The other thing is, and we don't know this, I mean, I don't know it, is this the exact same 640 17 micron core that's in the current XP50s? I mean, it probably is, but maybe they've improved it to some way. I mean, we can't rule that out. So we are going to know everything that there is to possibly know that we can know. We're going to know that at SHOT Show 2018, and that's something I just want to briefly hit on. This show, we do our best to bring you the news as breaking as we can on Thursdays. I know things happen between Thursday to Thursday, but we try to bring it to you the next week as quick as we can. Sometimes there's things that happen after we record the podcast before Thursday, but we want to be one of your main sources for anything breaking or news in this industry. And Hans and I are both going to be at the SHOT Show together. We're going out there. Those that don't know, the SHOT Show is the shooting, hunting, and outdoor trade show. You're going to hear us talking a lot more about that in the coming weeks. It's in Las Vegas every year in January, and that is where basically all things for the hunting, shooting, gun, optic world, that's where everything new is announced for the year, and it is a dealer, distributor, and manufacturer only show. It is not open to the general public, so it's a show that we can go to. We can see the new stuff. We can meet with the manufacturers. We can write orders for the coming year. And again, we'll talk more about what the SHOT Show is in later episodes, but that is when we're going to know all this. And before then, anything is just speculation. So y'all stick around with this show. Subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app, on YouTube, and we're going to give you all the information as we get it, and especially all the details that we get firsthand at SHOT Show after we've put our hands on these units and got all the info.
Absolutely. So like Jason said, if you please go subscribe to us on all the socials. Also, if you're interested in purchasing a night vision scope, a thermal scope, give Jason a call at Outdoor Legacy Gear. It's 877-350-1818. You can also visit the website. It's outdoorlegacygear.com. And like he said, if he gets busy, sometimes I help him out and take phone calls, and I love getting a chance to speak with everybody. So we appreciate y'all joining us this week. Please join us next week for another episode of the Late Night Vision Show. Y'all take care. Have a great week. Keep making them bacon pancakes.